I mean, I will say in the same spirit, that's all. I have the same reaction to it. You're telling me that the Israeli police are beating up the families of the hostages.
Yeah, that's also shocking.
That's also never happened before, and not like only been filmed or photographed. Like a bunch of
the only people that the only people that the Israeli police don't beat are people doing. Holy, that is so crazy. Yeah, Manchurian Candidate.
Yes.
So
I should do it. Oh, that's terrible. I thought he liked it.
As explained on the Blowback podcast, as the first time that the concept of brainwashing was ever used in an American newspaper.
When they come back, I'll greet
because
them.
of the fantastic treatment that the People's Liberation Army showed the American captives that caused the Americans to claim that these American captives were defecting. Did I get that right?
It was that and the germ warfare thing. Because the movie is about like it's like a defection thing, but in real life it was like wow, these flyers, like these American pilots are all saying we use biological and germ bombs, and they sound really uncoached and like they're speaking honestly about it. It must be brainwashing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you know who else did that yesterday? Our favorite Itamar Ben-Gvir, who said that about an Israeli captive that had returned to Israel, and he said his statement resembled Hamas. Israel has officially moved. There are members in the Israeli Knesset now that are saying Israeli hostages are Hamas. That's right. Let's take a look at the Jerusalem Post article real quick because it's very funny. I want to see what he said. The captive said that caused Ben-Gvir to say that, what is this? No. Hasan, you look like someone who has sexual intercourse with dead goats. I mean, your mom is the goat of sucking my penis. But she's not dead. Hasan, you look like camel fucker, no hate. I'm gonna unban this guy.
Cap on the...
Yeah, I'm gonna unban this guy. Okay, it's weird that you're calling your mom a camel. It's cool that you're calling her the goat. She is the throat goat. No hate. Okay, but she's definitely not dead. She was definitely alive last night. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find. Does anyone have the article of Ben-Gvir, Itamar Ben-Gvir? From, I think it was on the Jerusalem Post. I posted on my Instagram.
Everybody has so much to say about that fucking microphone, and yet nobody can just like pull up a link.
Yeah, oh, I know. They love this. They love chirping. They're like, meh, meh.
There we go.
Here it is. Ben-Gvir accuses freed hostage Eli Sharabi of echoing Hamas propaganda in testimony. This statement came as released hostage Eli Sharabi, stated that his decision led to Hamas retaliating by worsening the conditions the hostages were held in. Eli Sharabi was echoing Hamas propaganda when he spoke about his experiences in captivity during an interview with Channel 12's Uvda Thursday. Former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said Saturday night. Sharabi had said Ben-Gvir's decision to enforce stricter conditions for terrorists in Israeli prisons was what led to Hamas worsening the treatment of hostages in captivity. I am proud of my actions, Ben-Gvir told Channel 13, adding that he would not apologize for the decision. If you get kidnapped, you're officially Hamas. It's funny because like this guy isn't even saying something that's like remotely pro-Palestinian here. And it, you know, why would he? He was held captive, you know? Just want to let you know that Noah was messing with all the knobs and settings when you were gone and laughing and saying chat will be so annoying. It's fucked up, dude. Thank you, M. Hood, for telling me the truth. Ben-Gvir is a guy.
I do what I want.
I mean, barely. Okay. Kind of wild. The request links from track where we pay you to post links like we're paying to be secretaries is worse than interning XD. Dog, you pay to be a micromanager. All 40,000 of you. Let's be real, okay? This new Ynet article is looking crazy. Breaking. U.S. officials are losing patience. Israel's trying to sabotage U.S. talks with Hamas. Reports Ronan Bergman. Wow. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You're telling me for the first time American officials.
It was an amazing. She lived an amazing negotiating process.
Yeah, what? No way, dude. American officials are accusing Israel of trying to sabotage U.S. contacts with Hamas. No. Remember when I covered this yesterday? Wait, what? Israeli police assaulted the families of those killed and imprisoned inside the Knesset after they requested to attend a discussion on forming an official investigation committee into the October 7 events, which Netanyahu and his coalition have blocked. Wait, what? I don't know about suppressed news. I need to see a real article on this.
I mean, I will say in the same spirit, that's all. I have the same reaction to what you're telling me, that the Israeli police are beating up the families of the hostages.
Yeah, that's also shocking.
That's also never happened before, and not like only been filmed or photographed. Like a bunch of
the only people that the Israeli police don't beat are people doing pro-rape riots. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
people who are like.
That's when they put on like the kid gloves. That's when they bring out like the paddy wagon. That's like friendly and
that's
nice.
That's when they open the gates of the military facility that they've detained the rapist concentration guards at and release them into the public. So that's funny though. Yeah, Knesset guards violently prevent victims' families from attending debate on October 7 probe. Oh my God.
They do this in the street. Like this has happened in the street too. I mean, it's really. And Netanyahu, like he takes like hits, he takes swipes at them.
Oh, it's so insane, bro. Ethan's gonna clip this and be like, Hasan is laughing at the hostage families for getting brutalized by the Israeli police. Ay, ay, ay. It is.
I will say I'm impressed with is that like a GIF in the article embed, or is that it's yeah.
Yeah, they made it into a GIF.
That's pretty.
Or a GIF.
That's pretty good.
That is, dude. How can people not look at this and be like, this is a troubling sign of a deeply unwell society? Okay, like just imagine they're American. Okay, please, if you have any, I mean, this is a community that gets it.
I would say like one way to put it though is like what is it that's like about coming apart? It's not that like, oh, it's just that like the police are beating these people up, because like we've obviously have plenty of videos of like American police beating people up for doing nothing in a room or whatever. But I think what's kind of nuts about this is that like that these people are not given like the equivalent of like sitting in the gallery at the State of the Union for anything October 7th related. Like suggests that they have a political crisis and a social crisis that is tearing the country apart and turning these people into objects of hate by the government itself. Yeah. That's like which leads to situations like this.
Exactly. And the reason why I always like bring this back to America is because this is me talking to the liberal Zionists, basically the liberal Zionists that live in the United States of America, that still have some progressive values they maintain and haven't turned into fucking Michael Rappaport. And they look to stuff like this and think this is simply a byproduct of Benjamin Netanyahu, not recognizing that there is a much larger problem. Okay. This is identical to conditions worsening in the United States of America as the American police and the American military become more aggressive towards civilians who have an understandable gripe and a reason to demand an adequate investigation, an independent investigation into the actions that caused their family members to die. Okay? Why would a government say, no, we're not going to do that? Okay? Why would they do that? If a 9/11 style situation occurred again in the United States of America and the family members were like, wait a minute, there's something really weird about this. Can we look into it? And the American military and American police were beating the shit out of those families.
Yeah, let's be clear. Like there were a bunch of those families in the U.S. They just got ignored, which is like what, at least in Israel's case, like I mean, part of the problem is that like it points to the schism in this, is that like there's a bunch of people in Israel who like maybe that like however they feel about the campaign in Gaza and all this other stuff, like meaning that they're probably for it, but that like on the point of like they don't want to see violence against the hostages or whatever. But there's, I mean, that to me is like what seems that like it's evidence of how this stuff just gets politicized. It's like, oh, if people do care about it, then fuck it, let them get hit. You know, like try and show that like you don't care that they have people that care about them or whatever. It's a dissent that doesn't matter.
Genuine, honest, and a bit pessimistic question. Do you genuinely wholeheartedly believe anything good will come out regarding Palestine as a person with family and friends in the region? This has been the case for decades. Nothing new, just another cycle with a 1,000 to 1 kill ratio and no progress. Yes, I do. I definitely do. And I think part of that is because the contradictions worsen, as you see stuff like this happen in Israel, as you see the Israeli economy crumble, as you see the benefits go away, the benefits of being a Western adjacent nation go away for the average Israeli citizens, slowly but surely, they will leave Israel. This is why I regularly maintain the position that the greatest threat to Israel is not Hamas or Iran. The greatest threat to Israel is Sherman Oaks. The greatest threat to Israel is Beverly Hills. The greatest threat to Israel is Boca Raton. Okay? Because if a lot of the people that live in Israel go, why the fuck am I still here? I don't get any of my treats. I can still listen to the worst psytrance music anyone has ever heard and wear my capri pants in Boca Raton. They're just going to go to Boca Raton. Okay? And you're also going to lose, like you're going to inevitably lose like a lot of the academic resources that you have. Like you're going to have intellectuals and academics leave Israel as well, especially with like the academic boycotts that take place too. Like you're basically shutting off your next generation by behaving in this like incredibly violent way. You're gonna have brain drain.
I mean, just yesterday it was reported that there's a professor of computer science at Ben-Gvir who posted under like the pseudonym John Brown on Twitter. I've seen his content. You've probably looked at tweets of his at some point or another.
Yeah.
But he like was suspended from his job, and he was like this. He was not publicly known that he was tied to this account, and it was because he said that Israeli soldiers had committed war crimes.
Yeah.
There's a computer science, this is like
the more shit like that happens, the more you hear about like 500,000 Israelis leaving Israel. Okay, the more the Israeli economy becomes unsustainable. That's why I said, that's why I kept repeating over and over again that like this is going to turn into it. Like Israel eventually, if they follow this trajectory, is going to turn into a nation filled to the brim with just like rabid, uneducated settlers, okay? Like ultra fundamentalist, ultra Zionists that simply, are having differences in opinion, differences in agreement in the Knesset over like whether women can read or not, with nuclear arms. Like it's just, that's unsustainable. Okay, it's going to turn into a pure hog state, which it kind of already is turning into a pure hog state to begin with. I
mean, it's dependent on also like it's like similar. I mean, I would argue like people want like they think everybody wants to be like a U.S. vassal, right? Because they think that they could get to be like Israel, favored military treatment.
Yeah,
they could develop like a broad base like industrialized society with a middle class and all these different things. And it's like it just projects this illusion of stability, all those things taken together over the last few years, when like the context in which that state exists has pretty rapidly shifted, and like the context in which that leadership operates, like what they believe. I mean, for example, like Mayor Kahana, a guy who it was illegal to support in Israel like 30 years ago because they thought that his version of extreme Zionism was so dangerous and so self-destabilizing. That's now a norm. And then even in the diaspora, like, Tablet Magazine is running Kahana was right articles.
Yeah.
You have like what were previously understood as effective boundaries for containing the ideology from like running too far amok or whatever. It's all been removed. And it's not because like they made a choice and it could have been undone at some point. Like this was always how it was bound to go.
You see liberal Zionists unironically touting the Kahana line, the Kahanist line of never again just means for Jews. Like that's insane. That's an insane thing to say. Like the notion that like no, never again wasn't about anybody else. It was just about us. Like what the fuck are you guys talking about? It's supposed to be about like Jewish militancy. And when you see people who are otherwise supposed to be like progressive accounts on Twitter saying stuff like that, that is a turning point, I think, for average Israeli society and their attitude on these issues. What? Why not repurpose the IDF into a reconstruction force? These soldiers' real life skills. I mean, this is something that I've personally advocated for with the American military as well, but kick out the settlers and replace them with displaced Palestinians during the reconstruction process. Why sentence an entire generation of young Jews and Palestinians to endless trauma? I just don't get it. Okay, well, yeah, it's a very pie in the sky. Let's stop the genocide first, you know? After October 7, I noticed that they were bringing fake refugees and fake asylum claims here as crime tourism. Coined the term crime tourism. What are you talking about? Why am I reading this? All right. Edging into Radlib territory. I mean, I think that the American military is a jobs program, and I think that it would be nice if the American military's output wasn't, you know, the complete wholesale murder of brown children overseas, but instead was to like build bridges and shit. That would be cool. But you know, it's not going to happen in America, and it certainly is not going to happen in Israel right now.
Well, and also like in Israel's case, like they're struggling with the fact that like the more that they invest in their military, like that's also like one of the things killing the country, and that like is producing like this sort of like what's becoming like if however long they go with this will become a feature of it, that like the heightened draw on reserves that is a cost on it is borne by the rest of the country. And like even if they're not about to like fall into immediate financial calamity, right? Like that's not a sign that they're able to like allocate investments in society in all that healthy of a way.
Yeah. And before Simone Zimmerman gets here, who is one of the documentary makers of Israelism, which we've watched on this broadcast before, I want to talk a little bit about the American collapse, because America and Israel are, you know, one nation under God, indivisible, if we're being real. Because a lot of people say it's a favorite client state, and I understand that. But I think that due to the pervasive influence, the outside influence of the Israeli lobby, and due to the dedicated brainwashing, social conditioning operation that Zionism engages with on a regular basis, I don't think it's necessarily a favored client, but one that is just directly a part of the United States, and so valuable to the United States that like even when they fuck over the United States, even when they do counter espionage against the CIA, for example, it's still considered appropriate, because what are you going to do? Because it's that valuable to us. And also there is that level of influence. I would say this is like one of the things that people somewhat disagree with me on. This is like an attitude among anti-Zionists where they're like, they say like, oh, this is not something that you can describe purely on material grounds. I disagree with them on this issue. I think that it's like, I disagree with them on this issue because I think that, yes, the influence of the Israel lobby is certainly significant. I still think that the initial reasons as to why this allegiance was developed is because of Israel's position Israel's position as a unsinkable aircraft carrier in a resource-rich region,
and also that like I mean again like Israel, it's part of why also it's important not to lose sight of the idea of like Israel as a settler colonial project. Like part of the basis for that was that it was meant so that Israelis and Zionist leaders, as they courted and sought to court Western governments and even collaborated with them on things like, you know, in the Suez Crisis with France and the United Kingdom in the mid-1950 and 56. I mean, I think what you can use, you know, what we can sort of suss out from that is that Israel viewed that settler colonial affinity not just as a like, we're white, you're white, even though we're not really white, but you get the idea. It was also about how they could be instrumentalized as like a fellow white nation in this like, you know, grand strategic game against, again, like Arab states, which were largely at that time, particularly in the Nasserist era, aligned with the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And you know, that
you can't do pan-Arabic nationalism and link up with the Soviets. That's terrifying, you know?
I think,
but there's also white supremacy. There's also an element of white supremacy involved in this. You can't trust the Arabs no matter what. Okay? You can't trust the Arabs no matter what. They're Muslim, they're Christian, doesn't matter. They're still Arab, okay? Whereas the way that I think a lot of dumb Americans, a lot of Western leaders view Israel is like, well, those are our guys, you know? Those are our neighbors. And to a certain degree, they are, you know what I mean? Like that's that's the reason why like a lot of people, I think, initially were claiming that, like, you know, Israel is a white nation, a white supremacist nation, and there is aspects of white supremacy in Israel as well, with respect to Ashkenazi Jews, for example. But Israel has a shit ton of Arab Jews as well, you know, even though they're still, because of the ethno-religious supremacist nature of Zionism, the Arab Jews have a specific classification. They're still Jewish and therefore of a higher class than what they consider to be, in Israeli demographics, Arab. Arab implies someone from an Arab nation, or someone from even that area, even from Palestine, that is either Muslim or Christian. Yeah, you have Jews that come from the entirety of Levant and the MENA region in general, that are subcategorized under the banner of Judaism. Be careful. Arabs are also white, and Arab supremacy is just as real. An Afro-Arab, this cannot be denied. As an Afro-Arab, this cannot be denied. Okay, we're talking about some Arabs are white, some Arabs are not white. It doesn't matter. This is not the point that I'm trying to make here. Lock in, okay? Also, it depends on it depends on which country you're looking at. Yeah, go tell an American that Arabs are white, okay? God damn, dude. Holy shit.